Everyone, my name is Max Gibbs, and I am really excited to share with you about my RuralWorks summer internship. To give a little bit of background information about myself, I was born and raised in Greenville, North Carolina, so I've been around the Raleigh area for my entire life. Currently, I am a rising sophomore pursuing a dual degree in paper science and chemical engineering. Right now, I'm a bit unsure about what I want to do in the future. Paper science and chemical engineering is such a broad major, and so I want to explore the different areas and avenues that it offers throughout my time at NC State. This summer, I worked at a paper mill in Plymouth, North Carolina known as Domtar. Domtar is one of the largest pulp and paper industries in the entire world. They currently have 20 different facilities across North America. 11 of those are used to actually make the pulp and paper, while the other 9 are used for manufacturing purposes. At the mill in Plymouth, they manufacture diapers, feminine products, and other hygienic products. This summer, I worked in an area of the mill known as the fiber line, which would convert wood chips into a bleached pulp, which will eventually be used to create the final product. Throughout my internship, I collected various pulp samples and performed the required lab tests. I presented necessary safety and housekeeping issues that arose throughout my time. And I also monitored certain areas of the process by creating trends and digital graphics. One thing that I did very often throughout my internship was collecting pulp samples. Some days I would collect a dark or brown pulp sample, as you can see in the picture on the left. When I collected this pulp, I would test for its rejects. Basically, this shows how many unusable fibers or wood chips were in that current sample. On other days, I would collect a white or bleached pulp sample, as you can see in the picture on the right. Whenever I collected this pulp, I would test for its brightness, which is how white or bright the pulp currently is. I did this many times throughout the summer, and I compiled all of this data into a few Excel spreadsheets that could be used in the future by other interns, co-ops, or the operators that were around in the fiber line. At Domtar, safety is their #1 priority. So I was tasked with a few projects to help make sure that the fiber line was running smoothly and safely. In the fiber line, we have operators that would sit in a control room and make sure all of the machines and valves were functioning properly. They were required to complete certain safety or environmental training modules every month. I would keep track of these modules and see which operators had completed what training. I would present these safety module findings to the team leaders and the fiber line superintendent so that they could also receive this information. Throughout my time in the fiber line, I had a few instances where I would notify my supervisor about certain housekeeping or safety issues that arose. There were a couple of sample valves that were in an awkward spot, causing some of these samples to fall onto the floor, making it very slippery and dangerous. Because of this, I learned how to write a work order, which would be presenting to the maintenance team and hopefully be resolved sometime in the near future. On the process control and technological side, I made a few things that would help track certain areas of the fiber line process. One of these things that I looked at a lot was trends, and I created a few of them that would track a few different variables. Those variables would be the temperature of the gas that would come out of a certain tank, and also to ensure that the valves in some areas were working properly. I also created a digital graphic of a portion of the process that you can see in the top picture. This would track certain variables such as the pH going in and out of each tank and also the levels of those tanks. I also put in a different key variables that would be necessary and helpful to the operators that were looking at them. Throughout my summer at Domtar, I learned a lot of important skills, one of which was cooperation. Every morning, the fiber line would have a meeting, which would include people from the electrical side, the operating side, and maintenance side. Throughout this meeting, they would discuss issues and problems that have arisen for the past 24 hours. They would hear everyone's input and make sure to keep everyone on the same page so that they can arrive at a desired solution. I also learned a lot about proactivity. Throughout my day, it was very easy for me to sit in my office after I had completed all my work and not really do anything. However, sometimes I would go into the control room and talk with the operators. I could learn a thing or two about the process, but more importantly, I learned how to build relationship with those operators. I would ask simple questions such as how their day was and if they had anything fun planned over the weekend. This bridged a connection between the younger interns like myself and the older operators in the fiber line. Finally, I grew a lot in my leadership. Every Friday, I would meet with the fiber line superintendent and the other fiber line interns to discuss the readings from the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People that we had all read throughout the week. This book describes 7 useful habits that will help you become a better person, both in a workplace environment and at home. This book was really eye-opening as it showed me the major difference between being a manager and being a leader. It also highlighted the areas that I was currently doing well in, but also the areas in which I can improve. I hope to use the lessons that I learned in this book, along with the experience that I've gotten throughout my projects, to hopefully become a better worker and a better leader in the future. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you for listening.